Hi guys, this is going to be the tutorial that's going to show you how to make this basket weave version number 2. And to do the stitch, you can use any size hook and any size yarn. I used a worsted weight yarn. I used worsted weight yarn, which is 4-ply for the US, 10-ply for Australia, and this is the kind I used. It's a Lease. The color is 3366 in case you want to try to order it. It's old, so I don't know if you'll be able to find it. And also I'm using a 5mm hook or a size H hook for the US. The multiples of this stitch can be done in multiples of 6 or multiples of 8. I like my basket weave stitch to be in sets of 3, so I'm going to do in sets of 6. If you like your basket weave to be in sets of 4, then you'll want to chain in sets of 8. But the multiples is 6 plus 3 or 8 plus 3. So the plus 3 is going to be the same for either one. So what the multiples 6 plus 3 means is that you're going to chain in multiples of 6, 6, 6, 6 until you've reached your desired width. And then once you have, you chain 3 and then you're ready to begin row 1. And it's going to be the same for the multiples of 8 plus 3. You'll just chain in sets of 8, 8, 8, 8 until you reach your desired width. Okay, so I have my multiples of 6. I've reached my desired width. So I'm going to chain 3 more and I'm ready to begin row 1. So for row 1, it's the same for multiples of 8 or multiples of 6. You're going to put a double crochet in the third chain from the hook. So count 1, 2, 3, and in this third chain, we're going to put a double crochet. This chain here that's left on the end will be the chain 2 that for row 2, that'll be your last stitch. You'll need to do a double crochet in the top of the chain 2. So I've done my first double crochet, and now you want to go down the rest of your chain, putting 1 double crochet in each stitch. So go ahead and put 1 double crochet down your chain, 1 in each chain, and I'll see you when you get done with row 1. Okay, for row 2, you'll want to chain 2 and turn. For row 2, and for all rows, you're going to be working with the second post of the row, the first and last post, which in this case will be the chain 2. So your first and last stitch, which one will always be a double crochet and the other one will always be a chain 2. Those are going to be your what they call border row. So your first and last stitch will always be just a double crochet. So you'll want to start your actual stitch on the second post of the row. So not the first, but the second one here. And we're going to be working a front post double crochet. So yarn over, and you want to go before the stitch and after. The space before and after the stitch to pull that post forward. And then you're going to pull a loop up through that post. Then do the double crochet as normal. And you'll want to do that again for the next 2 stitches if you're working in sets of 6, or 4 stitches if you're working in the sets of 8. I'm working in multiples of 6, so I'm going to have 3 in a row. So once you have your front post double crochets finished, then the next post will be back post. So you'll yarn over, you'll come up before the post, and then you'll go into the next space, pushing that post backwards. Again, you'll yarn over, pull up a loop, and then you'll do your double crochet as normal. Then you'll do that again, coming from behind, pushing back to do back post. And I'm doing 3 in a row. So now the next 3 for me will be front post. So I'm going to go in and pull that post forward and do my front post. Then you're going to repeat this same pattern for the whole row. 3 front post double crochet, then 3 back post double crochet. And continue that until your very last stitch, which will be a chain 2. And in that chain 2, you want to work a double crochet. Okay, I'm working my double crochet in the top of my chain 2 here in my row 2. And that's the end of row 2. For row 3, you're going to chain 2 and turn. Now again, for this one you're going to be doing the opposite of what you did. If you watched my first basket weave stitch, you'll see that this is still the same. For row 3, you're going to be doing the opposite of what you did on row 4. So here you can see that all of the posts are forward, and then this one you can see that it's a back. It actually leaves a border where your stitches are kind of hiding behind it. So when you see that little border here, you know that these are back posts, and when you see that there's no border, it's all front, then that's a front post. So where you see these, you'll want to do a back post, and where you see these back posts here, you'll want to do a front post. Do the opposite of what is there. So since mine's front, I'm going to do 3 back posts, or do 4 back posts if you're working in sets of 8. And then my next 3 will be front posts. So you'll come back there, you'll push that, pull it forward, I should say, and do your front post. Pull those back posts forward. And that's 2, and this is my 3rd. And then my next 3 will be back post. So this is what you're going to repeat for this row. The opposite of everything you see. The front post, you'll need to work back post on them like I just did there, and these back posts here, I'm going to pull those forward and do front post. So repeat that down your row, and then double crochet in the ending chain 2. Okay, I'm at the very end of my row, and I'm double crocheting in my ending chain 2. And that's the end of the first row of repeats, by the way. You're going to be repeating rows 3 through 6. So we just did row 3. So for row 4, you're going to chain 2 and turn. Now this is where things start to change a bit. From now on, when you after row 3, which is the one we just did, we're going to be doing the same thing for row 4. So you want it to be elongated, like, let me show you here. See how you have the front post coming forward on 2 rows, and then you can see you have double borders for back post as well. So you'll have 2 rows of doing back post, and then 2 rows of doing front post. So we're not going to do like we did the very first basket weave stitch that I showed you in my basket weave, I guess I'm going to call it the basket weave stitch version 1. So what we did in basket weave version 1 is that we changed every row. So for basket weave version 3, we're going to be doing 2 rows of the same thing. So for row 4, you're going to be continuing on the same thing as you did for row 3. So as you can see here, it's a back post. So instead of saying, okay, it's a back post, so I'm going to do a front post this row, you're going to do the same thing as you did. It's going to be a repeat. You'll be repeating 2 rows in a row. So since our first 3 rows for row 4, our first 3 stitches for row 4 are back post. For row 4, we're going to continue to do back post. So we're going to do a back post again. So again, you want to repeat what's already there. So we have 3 front posts, so we're going to do 3 front posts for this row 2. Row 3 and 4 need to be a mirror of each other. So whatever you see, you need to do again. And this, of course, again, we have this little ridge here, so we know these are back posts, so we're going to do back post on the back post. So keep continuing down the row, mirroring what you see from row 3 until you get to the very last stitch, which is a chain 2, and you just double crochet in that final chain 2. Okay, I'm just finishing up row 4. I'm double crocheting in the top of my chain 2. And that ends row 4. And as you can see now, you're starting to get the double look. So we have 2 border rows here, what I'm going to call border rows that run, and then the front post. So that's what 3 and 4 look like. Now 5 and 6 is going to be the same, except of course you're going to have 2 rows of front post where your back post is, and your next 2 rows will be back post, so that it looks more like a weave. For row 5, and for all rows, you will always chain 2 at the beginning and turn. That's going to be the same because you have your border stitches. So okay, so again we're working in the second post of the row. We have our 2 rows of back posts, because you can see by our border here and these border here, border here. So now we're going to do our front post where our back posts are for this row. And then where we have our front post here, we're going to be doing back post. So we're going to push those backwards. And this is going to be your repeat of this row. Come across the back post, you'll do front post, and when you come to front post, you'll do back post. So keep continuing this down your row, and when you get to the end of your row, chain 2, you'll do a double crochet. Okay, and the very last chain 2 of the row, find it 1, 2, you'll do a double crochet. Sorry about that buzzing sound outside. Sounds like it's a what do they call them? I don't want to call them a wind blower, but you know those blowers where they blow the leaves. Okay, so that was row 5. So 5 and 6 are going to be a repeat, just like 3 and 4 was. 5 and 6 are going to be the same. So again, you're going to chain 2. So for row 6, we're going to mimic row 5, just like we did for row 4. We mimicked row 3. The repeat is 3 and 4, and then 4 and 5. You're going to repeat those over and over again. Again, sorry for that sound. It's getting worse. Okay, so here we have front post. So we're just going to mimic that for row 6. We'll mimic what we see from row 5. So since the first 3 are front post, then we're going to repeat that by doing front post. The next 3 here are back post. So we're going to repeat, mimic that, and do back post. So the next 3 are front, the next 3 are back. You're just going to continue to mimic what you see from the previous row, and I'll see you when you get to the end of the row. Sorry, I was trying to wait for this guy to get done with his buzzing outside, but he doesn't seem to want to stop. So I got to the very end of the row. I just repeated what was there already, and as you can see what I was talking about before, it's kind of a basket weave look now. You'll have your front post kind of going in diagonal, and then you'll have your back post going in diagonal. So now we're on our repeat. We just completed rows 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. So now it's going to be a repeat of row 3. So again, you're going to chain 2 and turn, and now you're going to be starting off doing the opposite. So for row 3, you will do a back post wherever that you see a front post, like on these first 3, for instance. And then the next 3 are back posts, so we're going to push them forward and to make them a front post. And you'll want to continue to do this down your row, repeating row 3. This is exactly, so if you want to back up and go back to row 3, you can. So this is row 3, and then when you chain 2 and turn, remember for row 4 you're going to be mimicking whatever you just did for row 3, and then you're just going to continue like that again and again. So that's it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please don't forget to like and share and comment on this video. It helps me out so much. Also, if you want to keep checking out the basket weave thing that I'm doing, versions 1, 2, and 3, or any future tutorial, you can go onto my main YouTube page, and right next to the subscribe button there's a little bell button. If you click that, it will always notify you whenever I release a new video. If you wanted to know what kind of hook that I'm using a wooden furls hook. You can find that link down below my video, and if you're going to order this wooden furls hook, I recommend you order it with an extended hook. If not, it's only going to come half the size. Also, I have a group on Facebook called Crochet for the Masses. You can go there to share free pattern links, pictures of your projects that you're doing, also to ask questions if you're stuck on a pattern. It's a really nice place to you know, have help and share for those who really like crochet. So I really hope I see you there. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching.